Ken Pyle with VOD TV. We're at Parks Associates Connections Conference at CTIA. We're with Joe Buggy of Sutherland Global Services. Joe, you're going to be on a panel in a few minutes talking about customer support and proactive support type services. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what that panel is going to be about, and then we'll have a conversation.
Absolutely. So Parks had asked Sutherland to participate in a panel that is really talking about end-to-end customer support primarily from a technical perspective, and how client organizations, be they telecommunications companies or consumer electronics device manufacturers, can provide a better support experience for their end customers, enabling a highly satisfied result and driving loyalty from that customer base by providing the services they need to integrate those devices and services together.
Well, and I want you to talk for a moment about Sutherland Global and what your role is in making that happen, and then from that I think we'll have several questions that result.
Sounds great. Sutherland Global Services is a 27-year-old integrated business process outsourcing organization. So we provide capabilities to a number of vertical industries, including technology, the device manufacturers, telecommunications, retail, a lot of the outlets today that are providing the support for the devices and services. And we have those capabilities across your typical life cycle of an engagement with an end customer, be that front-end marketing all the way through sales, customer service, technical support, and the entire back office arena as well.
Well, I want you to talk to that for a moment. It seems like in a conversation we had a moment ago that are your customers, the retailers, the service providers, much more focused these days on the kind of that end-to-end relationship?
I think it's being driven by the end consumer. I think as devices become more complex, as the availability of apps and content and services becomes wider, their ability to be their own kind of home integrator is becoming more challenging. So they're reaching out to organizations that they trust to provide those services to them. And I think that telecommunications organizations and device manufacturers, software providers, and retailers are really stepping up to provide that full array of capability, whether that be set up on the front end to how can I use my device to the best of its capability? How can it help meet some of my needs for the reason that I purchased it originally? And then all the way through, how do I migrate and evolve my my digital ecosystem as new technologies become available and additional digital home capabilities become affordable and available to the consumer.
And so from a business model perspective, offline you'd mentioned that last year it was the talk was, how do you charge an extra fee just for this kind of service? Has that model been established as the model, or are you seeing different models a year later as this evolves?
Well, I think the model is evolving, and it certainly needs to include free warranty or in-scope support, whatever you'd refer to it as. But it really starts with when the customer purchases the service or the device, and how do we provide those support instances or those available expertise opportunities to an end consumer over that life cycle. And it absolutely involves certain elements where a client, a telecom, could monetize that by providing services beyond what they would typically consider to be in scope. And Sutherland provides the tools, the automation capabilities, the portals, and agents, consultants to provide that service to the end customer, and they're available to them in an array of kind of commercial agreements, whether that's free through any channel, could be email or chat or voice, but it could also be social media or self-service knowledge bases, all the way through subscription-based services where we can actually monitor for them when new devices come onto the network. How do you integrate them together, make them work with your TV, your DVR, your computer, your tablet, and have an integrated experience across that ecosystem.
Well, one of the things you touched upon is the whole idea of monitoring and measurement. Are you seeing companies, the service provider companies and others, retailers even, starting to look at metrics of how satisfied customers are with the support?
Absolutely. I mean, the customer is king, right? Having a loyal customer that's going to be with your firm for a very long time is critically important. It's so expensive to find, acquire, and launch a new customer engagement, and really measuring their feedback and understanding what their needs are and how they want to be treated as an end consumer is critically important. So, in addition to your typical metrics that we would look at in terms of how well did I solve your problem, was it efficient, did I solve it the first time? Now it's absolutely including an array of analytics that looks at, everything about the demographics of the customer and how can I continue to widen my breadth of offerings to you, to how satisfied are you with my brand, with my reputation, through the interactions that you have, whether you're buying something or getting something serviced or have a problem with your bill.
Well, it's interesting. It kind of gets back to the whole big data and the analytics, and it seems like another area where you probably could provide value is this whole idea of service providers have really expanded their service offerings in the last year, from home security to other sorts of monitoring. And so is that part of it too, being able to transcend that?
Absolutely. And many of those offerings are now embedded right into the service. So whether you're using an online portal that you've actually used a self-service element, we're still going to ask the end consumer whether we helped solve their problem, ask for suggestions on how we could make it better, and solicit their feedback on how the product or service could evolve to better meet their needs, and have them help us develop the future offerings that are going to be valuable to the consumer.
So it sounds like you're getting a lot of good feedback already, but it sounds like there's a lot in store still.
I think so. If you just look over the past few years and you consider the digital ecosystem, I would say was mainly computing and kind of internet browsing based, moving into entertainment and content availability. And as you mentioned, now it's home security, it's energy monitoring, it's safety, and having that integrate well together so that wherever you are in the world and whatever device you happen to want to use to monitor, that's a well integrated and well orchestrated experience. And it's critically important to the monetization from an end client perspective of those services.
Well, that makes sense. Well, Joe, appreciate your time and good luck on the panel.
Thank you very much. Good to talk to you again.